live from our studios in Singapore and London. This is BBC World News. It's Newsday.
It's 8 in the morning in Singapore and in Kuala Lumpur, where Malaysia's Prime Minister Najib has dismissed a huge two-day rally that brought together tens of thousands of people demanding for his resignation. Activists believe the Prime Minister hasn't fully explained why he had hundreds of millions of dollars in his personal bank accounts. Mr. Najib has denied any wrongdoing, and in a speech to mark today's celebration of Independence Day, he has called the protesters provocative.
Pada ambang kemerdekaan yang penuh bermakna ini.
On this Independence Day celebration, there are those who spark the fire of hostility. If we're not united and lose our solidarity, no problems can be resolved. We reject any form of street demonstration that might threaten the peace and trouble the people, because it's not the right channel to voice concerns in a democratic state.
Jennifer Pop joins us now from Independence Square in Kuala Lumpur. A lot of people there in the capital of Kuala Lumpur because it is Independence Day. But over the weekend, there were tens of thousands of protesters on that site where you were right now. And you spoke to many of them, Jen, and they shared with you their grievances.
Indeed, the protesters had directed their anger specifically at Prime Minister Najib, and it's over a financial scandal. What they really want to know is, did Prime Minister Najib take public funds? Now, Mr. Najib has denied these allegations. He has said that the close to $700 million that was transferred into his bank account came from a private donation from the Middle East, but he did not explain where exactly that money went to. Well, for many of the protesters that had been here rallying over the weekend, they say the explanation raises more questions than answers. Here's what some of them told us.
Basically, he shut down every means and any legal means of investigating him, and basically this is the only way we have to tell him that, we don't accept any of his explanations, his lies, and we just want him to go.
The problem is not only with the Prime Minister, the problem is with the system. You just change the head, you still have the system there. So we must change the system along with the Prime Minister.
We might gather for another street protest if our demands are not met. There are many problems. The country is unstable and the economy is very weak.
Jen, former Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad was also part of the street protests. He has also called on Mr. Najib to step down.
Well, indeed, because the protests over the weekend were declared by the police as illegal, but they did allow the protesters to proceed and rally around the Independence Square behind the barricades peacefully. And part of that is because possibly that there is support for their demands even from within Prime Minister Najib's own party. One of them, of course, being Mahathir Mohamad, his former mentor, now turned into his fiercest critic. He's, however, going to be one of the most unlikely allies for these protesters, though, since he has been blamed for setting up this system when he was in power for 22 years, for creating a system that allowed such a financial scandal that has happened today. So, of course, Prime Minister Najib has again said that these protesters were unpatriotic. He said it was very provocative for them to come, including the actions of the former Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad. But they say that this country, something needs to change, because what is going on right now shows something's very wrong, because in recent weeks the Prime Minister had tried to silence his critics by sacking his deputy for questioning him over the financial scandal. He had also replaced the Attorney General that was investigating him in this particular case. And so there's a real sense amongst some Malaysians that perhaps they will never get the truth as to what is happening with this state fund, what happened to close to $700 million, why it was transferred to the Prime Minister's own bank accounts.
Jennifer Pop joining us from Independence Square in the capital of Kuala Lumpur. Thank you so much for the update.